Amazing Grace Ministries International. About 2 hours from now, it's 10:30 Hawaii Standard Time, whatever time that is where you are. Just add 2 hours to the time right now, and you'll see me back again. But we're going to be covering Colossians chapter 3, the middle portion of the chapter. Paul dives deep into stuff that helps us as Christians to walk in new life. And how we do that newness of life is really critical for our growth. And it's something that there's really simple, practical things that he gives us. We went over some of them last week where we saw that Paul said, don't live the old ways. Don't speak lies, speak the truth to one another. And then he went on and he talks about how we put on a new self. And that new self, he said, we have to put on a heart of compassion, a heart that has kindness, and a heart, he said in verse 12, of humility and gentleness and patience, bearing with one another. Now, we went over this first thing that he talks about, to put on this new heart that God has for us, this heart of compassion. And he talked about how we have to forgive anyone who has sinned against us. I know that's hard to do, but if you hang on to unforgiveness, I've used this example before, but it's like someone threw a rock at you and they hurt you, and you go, man, they threw that rock at me and it hurt me, and I'm bend down and I pick up the rock and I get my little burlap sack and I put it in there and I sling it over my shoulder and I say, I'm never going to forget that you threw this rock at me, and I'm going to carry this with me for the rest of my life. Well, the problem is you get a bunch of rocks and sticks thrown at you in life, and you will have that happen. Then pretty soon your bag fills up and you start walking around carrying a lot of unforgiveness, and it starts to bend you low. It starts to wear you out and fatigue you, and it changes your personality, because when you walk in forgiveness, it's like taking the burlap sack and saying, even if they throw something at me, I'm just going to let it hit me and bounce off, and I'm not picking it up. I'm not carrying that with me through my life. And it's freeing. It's like letting go of that weight of unforgiveness and being able to walk through life just with your shoulders going, I don't have that weight pressing down on me. And some people don't realize unforgiveness is a huge weight that we weren't wired to bear. So Paul gave that practical truth for us last week, to forgive one another just the way the Lord forgave us. If you didn't get to hear the study from last week, you got a couple hours till I come back on. Please just scroll back through our Amazing Grace Ministries International feed, and you'll see last week's sermon, and check it out in Colossians chapter 3. And now Paul's going to go on today and talk about, after you do those things, you begin to forgive. He said, put on love. And that's where we had to end last week, was the putting on of love and letting to rule in our hearts. Now I'm going to go today, so if you want to read ahead, please just revisit these verses 12 to 17, and we're going to deep dive the verses, especially verses 15. I've got a study for you that I think will really help you. Some more practical things that you can do to help you grow in the love of our Lord and in the things that really do matter in how we live this Christian walk that we live. So, I'll be with you. Can't wait.